anything from the city and no reports yet from the SIU, what is the response from the city and from the Toronto Police on the continued violence on black bodies in this city?
Can we have a minute of silence in the memory of Andrew Luku? I think it's the right thing to do. Every time a police officer is fallen, you guys do a minute of silence. Why not for a citizen, an immigrant? Come on, Mayor Tory. Do the right thing. A minute of silence in the honor of a fallen immigrant from Kenya, slaughtered at the hands of a police officer.
Mayor Tory and Chief Sanders, what is the response to the community to the slaying of Andrew Loku and the continued violence on black bodies in this city?
May I suggest?
Mayor Tory and Chief Sanders, we are awaiting an official response from the Chief of Police and the Mayor of Toronto to the continued violence against black bodies.
And all white ladies and influence like me. Mark, Hunter.
A minute of silence, that will be the best thing to do.
What are the de-escalation tactics when dealing with folks in mental distress?
Mayor Tory, I to compensate his family.
Is it true that Toronto Police Services is continuing their racial profiling practices on carding, despite an announcement from the mayor that it's going to cease?
Will the SIU release data on the amount of racialized people who are arrested by the police and make cases, especially those in mental health distress?
Chief, why after 23 cops arrested you, beat me, stabbed me, or related me in my naked body, my handcuffed body, and you have all the documents and video, why did you not respond? It's been 2 months now, and your secretaries, they keep scoffing, frowning at me, and they hang up.
So as you can hear, Mayor Tory and Chief Sanders, there's a variety of different concerns from the community, and we have yet to hear anything from you right here. We have come to you because we haven't heard from you yet. Come to your meetings right along. We're waiting for an answer.
What the lawyer says. Let's find out from the lawyer, the board lawyer.
Mayor
Mr.
Tory,
Chair,
where is
I don't feel
justice?
right saying nothing, but I will simply repeat what I said yesterday when I was asked about this by the media, because we have citizens who come here today, and although they haven't followed the process of being heard from, they nonetheless have spoken up. I said 2 things yesterday, and I'll repeat them today. I think we have a lot of work to do on the manner in which the police and many other elements of society deal with people with mental illness, and indeed, without violating any confidences, I can say we had some discussions this morning about a lot of work that is being done on that very matter, and including looking at the recommendations from the Akabucha report. But the second thing that it's a profound tragedy when anybody with mental illness or anybody else loses their life in the city. And the second thing that I said yesterday was that notwithstanding that you've asked me and other people, including the chief, to comment on this, there is an ongoing SIU investigation that is taking place in this matter, and it would be entirely inappropriate in the absence of facts and in the absence of that investigation having been completed for us to comment on that. And so that is why I've had nothing to say about it, because that's the proper course of action until that investigation is completed.
And Mayor Tory, when can we expect an answer from these recommendations?
We don't control the timetable at which the SIU operates, sir, and we get a report on how long their investigations take, and they take some time, at some points in time, because I presume because they're doing them carefully. But having said that, we don't control that time.
And when can we expect the 84 recommendations that were published out of the 2014 report to be adopted? Chief Sanders?
Are you talking about the recommendations of Yakabuchi?
Yes.
The Yakabuchi recommendations have been approved, and they are in the process of being implemented fully.
Can the community get a timeline on those implementations? And were those recommendations used in the case of Andrew Loku on Sunday?
Yeah.
How many
Here.
people are going to die before you're actually going to implement those recommendations?
I got mental illness too.
If you would let one of us speak, you can hear the answer. The recommendations have been approved, they are being fully implemented. I will say on behalf of the board to you that any death, and the death of Andrew Loku, is a matter of profound sadness and sorrow for all of us. And I can tell you this, that recently the board's mental health subcommittee, of which is there are many community members and service members, we had a very serious conversation about the need for completing full implementation not only of the Yakaguchi and JKE inquest recommendations, but also of the recommendations on community engagement or carding. And there's a very clear recognition of the occasional intersection of those two issues. So what I can say to you with all seriousness, that this board and the service are very much committed to full implementation of all of those policy recommendations that have been before us, and we are very serious about overseeing the implementation of those recommendations and of working hand in hand with the community to do so. That's why our committees, whether it is the PACER committee or the mental health subcommittee, consist of a good cross-section of people from the community working side by side with us. None of us wants one more life to be lost because we didn't do all that we should have done or could do. I want you to know very seriously that is a commitment we all have, and we are very serious about continuing to work to make sure that deaths like Andrew Loku, like Samia Teams, do not occur in this city. Justice Yakaguchi said to us that our goal should be zero death.
How serious are you, though? When are these recommendations going to be implemented?
We are very serious. And
when are these recommendations going to be implemented? Every day, black bodies face violence in this city. Every single day.
If you watch the board agenda in the August...
Since 1988, nearly half of the folks taken in mental distress are black men.
At the August board meeting, there will be a report on the state of the implementation of those reports.
And were those reports used during Andrew Loku's, the altercation with Andrew Loku?
I invite you to come to review the report on the implementation, and you'll be very welcome to come to the board and address them if you see any deficiencies or if you have...
Were those approved recommendations used in the altercation with Andrew Loku, specifically de-escalation tactics?
De-escalation tactic is very much on the list of priorities for us.
A list of priorities is not good enough, sir. If somebody has a
As you
hammer...
have just heard,
We're still waiting for Sami
I
Yatin.
cannot comment on the specifics of this death because of the ongoing SIU investigation. You can ask, but we cannot talk about the Andrew Loku.
What about
case
Sami
at this
Yatin?
time.
Black Lives Matter Toronto and the black community in Toronto have a series of demands that we would like to read out for you
I
folks.
would request you to let
We are
the
asking for the
people
immediate
know.
release of the name of the officers that killed Andrew Loku, charges to be laid against the officers who killed Mr. Loku, the immediate and public release of any footage from the apartment complex where Andrew Loku was murdered, a public apology from the mayor.
I'm just going around.
Over on that.
Just going around.
Thank you. Thank you.
Family and broader community.
Why are you bullying me, man?
Andrew Loku to be funded
Why are you bullying me,
City
man?
of Toronto.
Oh, bully.
The family of Andrew Loku for the damages caused by the Toronto Police Department. The adoption of all recommendations made by the African Canadian Legal Clinic. A systemic inquiry by the Office of the Independent Police Review Director to gauge whether there has been adequate disciplinary action taken against officers who use force against black people living with mental health issues. Body cameras to be worn by all police officers. The release of data on a number of SIU cases involving racialized people and racialized people living with mental health issues. An inquiry by the Ontario Human Rights Commission into the disproportionate use of force used against black people with mental health challenges. The adoption of the 84 recommendations in the 2014 report by Frank Yakaguchi aimed at reducing fatal encounters with people with emotional distress. People of Toronto are fed up with the lip service. People of Toronto are fed up with the promises. We are fed up with the recommendations in the empty report. We are seeking actions, and we are asking you to take actions because every single day, black bodies in this city face violence, whether it's carding, whether it's surveillance, whether it's physical violence, and whether it's death. This is life and death for us, and we are here to let you know and to put you on watch that we will take action and that Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
Black
Yeah.
Lives
Matter. Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter. We're asking you to take action, or we will.
Black lives matter and all lives matter, and this is not tokenism. This thing
I'm
is
so
very-
influenced with little old white ladies.
How is this any different from the lynching of black men that happened so long ago? How is this any different from that? Why is it okay for police to kill our members of our community and they are never, ever, ever penalized?
Because they have a
Black
union.
people have been killed since the 80s in this city and they have never once been penalized. The police have never been penalized. I want to know when there will be anti-racist training for all members of the police service. And it needs to be today.
Yeah.
Anti-racist, anti-oppressive training. Now.
We need to reform arrest procedures.
And the Privacy
starts with
Commission
how you
and the
arrest
SIU
people.
should be scrapped.
I would ask that
They
you
should be
allow,
scrapped.
I would ask that
Exterminated.
at this time, the meeting is allowed to
Except the
continue.
concentration camp.
As I've said, we are all very serious about the work we're doing on these issues, and anybody who's interested can.
Sorry, it took 12,
Can
10
I
years
say-
after Frederick got me to
The
straight up
work being
the
done.
book.
Sir, if you don't allow the meeting.
What do we have to
If
expect
you
from
do
this
not allow
police
the
force?
meeting to continue, I'll have to ask you to be removed from this meeting.
You want to move me out of here?
Uh-oh.
Sorry, you know, Ahmed, I'm telling you.
I'm asking you to.
There were
allow
quite a
the
few
meeting
times I want to
proceed.
yank your
You come and you
nose
disrupt
off.
the meeting every time. You do not pay attention to the way that the meeting has to go on. If you want to be heard, follow the rules and you will be
This
heard.
meeting is a sham, sir.
Then why are you here?
Elect forbearance
Inspector-
and consideration to the poor,
I want him removed from
to
this.
everyone.
We'll take in the chairman.
You know, sir, often I want to pluck your nose off and stick up her ass with a hot dog in the bar. You know what I mean? A poker, a poker. Huh?
People who sent their day here to talk,
Huh?
and you didn't help them. There's other people waiting for invitations, and now they've been denied the opportunity.